Alright guys, welcome to the video. This video is broken up into 3 parts. The first part is I will explain the blueprint. The second part is I'll show you how exactly I applied the blueprint. And the third part is more of a visual diagram explaining the blueprint for my visual learners out there. Alright guys, so today I'm here to talk about the ultimate blueprint to achieve success in Forex. Now, this blueprint is something I have created and something I have followed. It is what has got me to where I am today. I have followed every single step in this blueprint. So I highly recommend you follow the same. Now, like I've said in the previous videos, in trading, you will not be rich within a year. It's highly unlikely. This is a skill that takes years to develop. It takes years to get to a level where this can be a full-time thing. But let's get to the blueprint. So rule number 1 is for beginners. Some of you guys are experienced, so you could just skip that step. But for the beginners, let me explain it to you. The first 3 to 6 months of your trading, it should be spent on learning the basics, learning how to trade, learning how to place a trade on your MT4 or MT5, what a system is, what trading rules are, finding your trading rules, and studying the strategy, smart money concepts, the strategy that is taught on my course. You can also look on YouTube for extra resources on smart money concepts. Especially, you can learn from the man himself, ICT. It's on his YouTube. I highly recommend the videos before 2022 because 2022 is focused more on indices and I like to focus on Forex. So once that first step is done, you have your trading rules, you now understand how to trade, you can start with the next step. You start with a small challenge. Do not be greedy, do not rush the process, because if you start off with a big challenge and that costs you a big portion of your bank account, you're going to end up being emotional in that. So start with a small challenge. Get used to prop firm challenges. My first challenge was a 10K challenge and I lost that, but I remember I learned a lot from it. You start a small challenge, maybe 10K, 50K, and eventually you apply your trading rules, you apply your strategy, and once you finally pass that small challenge and you get funded, that's a sign that you can do it again with a bigger account. So once you have that small funded account and you made your first withdrawal, what you do with the withdrawal money is you put it back into the markets. You buy another challenge, you buy a bigger challenge, knowing that your end goal is just to have a huge amount of capital in which you can trade with. That way, just a 1% risk can cover your monthly expenses. That's the goal. And when you're starting off the first year or the first 2 years, there's a motto that I always go with. The goal is to survive, not thrive. In an industry where 95% fail, just surviving is good enough. So once you have that funded account, once you have bigger accounts and you combine them, you don't want to get greedy. You do not want to start risking more than you originally do. You want to stay with that less than 0.5% risk and just build your bank account slowly by slowly, adding a safety net. Because the moment you decide to go all in, the moment you decide to risk more, the moment you think that you know everything, you get too confident, you will blow that entire account. And like I said, this has happened to me. Once you have your 200K account, once you have a big enough capital, whatever is big enough for you, depending on where you're from, because in America, $100 is not that much. If you go to Africa, it's a lot. So it all depends on what's big for you. You can make a couple of $1,000s a month because what? 1% risk is what? 2K. If you do 0.5% risk per trade, that's 1K you're risking per trade to make more than 1K, which is pretty good. Now, this will all, like I said, it will take a couple of years to go down this blueprint and you will learn a lot, you will fail a lot. For me, I was stuck in step 3 to step 4 for 2 years, working minimum wage jobs to buy challenges. It took me 40 challenges to finally get 400K account. So this is the blueprint you must follow. Do not rush the process. Do not try to skip ahead. If you try skipping ahead, you will end up with no money in your bank account, broke. Stay patient, enjoy the journey, trust the process, and I hope you guys can make it to the final step in the blueprint. Alright guys, so now I'll show you how I went through the blueprint. So after step number 1, after figuring out what my trading rules are, after figuring out how to trade, my strategy, smart money concepts, I decided to do my first small challenge, which is step number 2. So I did my first small challenge. I ended up failing. I learned a lot from this failure. I knew that I had a good chance of failing since it is my first challenge. I don't know much about challenges. I don't know how to tackle it yet. So that's why I did my first challenge, being a very small 10K account. After that small challenge, I learned a lot from it. I ended up blowing it due to emotions because I was an amateur trader back then. As you can see, probably just overtraded, revenge traded, not too sure what exactly happened. My next challenge was a 50K challenge because I had a sense of how to pass the challenge from that 10K challenge. I learned from my mistakes from my 10K challenge and I decided to do a 50K challenge. What happened was I ended up passing it and I ended up passing this challenge. I ended up passing the verification in 3 months and I did get funded and I made my first withdrawal from this 50K account, as you can see right here, after 3 months. And now I did end up failing that funded account. I did end up blowing that funded account. However, I made my first withdrawal with it. I made 10K off that withdrawal. And what did I do? I went to step number 3. Step number 3, use your withdrawals to buy more challenges. With that withdrawal, I bought more challenges and I started getting funded with a 100K account. I made withdrawals with those accounts. I bought more challenges. My goal was to get a master 400K account. However, I let confidence get to me. I let greed get to me and I ended up blowing everything. I ended up blowing the funded account. I ended up blowing my bank account and I had to get a job, and every single dollar I got from my minimum wage job, it was Uber, working in the deli, working as a doorman, I invested it all back into these markets, every single dollar, because I literally lived a life where if I don't make it from this, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So that's all for this video. As you can see, I went through the whole blueprint. I went through step number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and currently I am at step number 5, a full-time day trader with 7-figure funded with more than 200K in withdrawals. So I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys follow the blueprint. It took me 4 years to get to where I am right now. The first 3 years was very tough. I did not make no money. I was actually negative tens of thousands of dollars, but here I am today. Alright guys, so for those of you who are more of a visual learner, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I said that in the beginning, you start off with a small challenge. Now, like I said, 50K challenge might be a lot to some of you guys. 50K challenge might be a little to you guys. So you figure out what exactly is small to you. This is just an example. So you start off with a small challenge. You keep tackling the challenges. Keep tackling the small challenge. You learn from it, you gain experience from it. Eventually, when you pass, you'll get a small funded account. Now, a lot of you guys, what you guys do is you get a small funded account and then you start risking more than you should. You get greedy. Greed comes in and you start thinking, you see a good clean setup and then you think, I have a 50K funded account. If I risk more than 1%, if I risk 1% on this nice setup that I just see right here, I will make so much money. But that mindset will, that mindset will lead you to a blown account. What you want to do is you want to keep your risk small on that funded account, and with the little profits you get, with the withdrawal, the refund withdrawal, you buy another challenge or you can buy a bigger challenge. And then after that, now you're working on a 50K funded account, your risk is small here, whereas your 50 or 100K challenge, if you want to keep the same conservative risk that you did the first time, that's fine. Or maybe if you do feel greedy, instead of putting that greed on that funded account, say for example, you do see a very clean trade setup and you're thinking that you want to risk 1% or more on your funded account to make lots of money, place that greed on the challenge. Don't place it on your funded account. And it's very hard for some of you guys to tackle greed. So this is a great way to channel your greed to something else. Put it on that challenge and keep trading your funded account, risking 0.5%, 0.25%, whatever you're comfortable with. And once you pass this challenge and you keep tackling challenges, most of you guys will end up blowing the funded account. So you guys won't listen to this advice I'm giving you because greed will come and you'll end up blowing the funded account. You'll come back to this video and saying, oh, now I know why you said that. Guys, you need to understand, I've blown so many funded accounts. I received so many messages on people telling me, I blew my funded account. Just looking at it, they got greedy. They started risking 1%, 2% on their first funded account instead of thinking, in the long term, the goal is to have a bunch of funded accounts. The goal is to build your empire. The goal is to keep building your portfolio. After that, you keep working on these challenges. You keep working on getting another funded account. Your portfolio goes from having a small funded account to having a challenge to then having the same funded account to doing another challenge, to having now another funded account, which might even be more. And as you keep growing your empire, as you keep going down this triangle, you might lose some challenges. You might lose your funded account. You'll gain so much more experience, and that experience will all help you in managing the bigger and bigger portfolio. For example, you start off with your portfolio is a funded account. Then your portfolio becomes a funded account, a challenge. Then your portfolio becomes a funded account, a challenge, another funded account. Eventually, you'll have a bunch of funded accounts while doing a bunch of challenges. And when you're at this point, this is when you can go aggressive. This is when 1% risk is allowed. Because say, for example, you have a 100K funded account or 50K funded account. You want to risk 1% on this account. That's fine. However, you do want to stay conservative on some of your other accounts because you don't want to lose everything. You need to understand, once you risk 1%, once you go aggressive on your accounts, you have accepted the fact that there's a possibility that you might end up losing this account. And that is why I don't recommend going aggressive in the beginning, because you have a possibility of losing that account. As you continue building your empire, as you start reaching the bottom, you can then start to have 80% conservative, 20% aggressive. As you keep building and building your empire, you might have 40% aggressive. The rest is conservative. Or you might have one account, I'll go very small risk. One account, I'll go very big risk. One account, I'll have a mediocre risk. One account, I'll just have it on the side as a backup. It all goes back to the quote I mentioned before. The goal in the beginning is to survive before you thrive. When you're just in the beginning of building your empire, your goal is just to survive right here. And slowly, while you build your empire, while you go down the triangle, then you can start to slowly thrive. You can start going aggressive on some accounts. And that's why I always mention that trading is exponential. Your first few years, you're going to lose, you're going to learn, you're going to gain a lot of experiences. And as you slowly build your capital, as you slowly gain that experience, as you slowly build your psychology to be able to handle the bigger accounts, by year 3, year 4, maybe year 2 for some of you, you'll have exponential profits. So guys, you need to trust this blueprint. You need to trust the process. You need to build your empire. That's how you get rich. You don't get rich off just one funded account. You don't get rich off just being in this stage. It's going to take time to build your empire. But once you have built your empire, once you have built the foundation, it's truly very easy to be profitable, to be able to cover your expenses, to be able to live the life you want to live. Thank you all for watching this video. I truly recommend you go back and watch it again and understand what exactly the blueprint is to be successful in this industry. I'll catch you guys in the next video.